Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Yomo. This is the year of magical learning. Today we're actually on 205, and this is the last installment, part five of one of my favorite book, probably top five, The Black Swan. So let's see what we got for today as far as reflection is concerned.
Yeah, so this is the dramatic conclusion of part 5 of the Black Swan reflections.
Could there be a part six?
I mean, there could be, who knows? I think I need to read it again to get more inspiration for additional reflections.
I'm telling you, this book is
Yeah.
packed with a lot of stuff. Yeah. I think you would discover new things going over it at least twice.
I wholeheartedly agree. I could probably mine this one for, probably 10 different times reading through and probably find something, a good golden nugget out of it. However, I'm not going to start to reread any books. That's the first thing that I want to do once this journey is over. I'm on 338 today. And as soon as I hit that 365 number, like I'm going to go back and I'm going to go reread some of my favorite books because it's been a long time since I've reread any books. And I'm like jonesing to get back into like a quick pass through of Thinking Fast and Slow or The Black Swan or 7 Habits or something like that, where I'm like, man, it'd be nice to do like a yearly refresher on some of my favorite books, but for me right now, I'm so focused on finishing this marathon, and getting to that magical number, 365 reflections where I'm like, just stay focused, let's get it done. And then from there, I can go back to having a little bit more fun. Because right now,
I think it's all based on perspective. And this is what we called yesterday. It's about purpose, right? And so no one put a gun to your head and say, hey, you have to complete
Not
books,
at all.
right? You just say, hey, this is the year of magical learning. Every day I'm learning something, regardless whether it come from like 10 of them come from one book or one of them come from one book, or none of them come from a book, right?
I agree.
The point is, it's about learning. I think the purpose, just like we're saying, with Snow, he loves to teach, but he hates his job. Right. So like for you, like sometimes you're trying to force yourself, say, I read this book. I need to find a reflection.
So I was struggling with that this morning. My most recent book was The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. It was okay, but it was like so outcome driven. And oftentimes they literally were like, we're only focused on the outcomes. That's how we're going to define our effectiveness as a team. Every time I hear these things, I can't, it was an interesting little fable and I learned a lot from it. But it didn't push.
But I think
my
you can learn
forward,
something that doesn't align with your core values. I mean, so if you learn something that is irrelevant to who you are, right? And so you can't really say, hey, I want to take this and put it in my tool bag. So my kind of the image in my head is like, I'm walking around, I'm exploring, I'm discovering, I'm looking at the palace, I'm enjoying the scene, but I'm going to take in these tools, right, and put my tool belt. It's like, so you don't go to the garden and pick every single flower there is. Pick the one you want.
No,
right?
you're totally right.
And put it in your pocket and keep it, fine, and pass on, move along.
Learning what you don't want is also learning, right? Like, and learning what doesn't align
I think that's
is also
super important to know what it is that you don't want, right? Yes. Because there are thousands, even hundreds of thousands of things that you don't want, and there's only a constrained amount of things that you do want that kind of matches who you are.
Yeah.
Right. No, and so I think if you hoard everything, like there's no room for what you're supposed to. I mean, we talked about this before too. I kind of vaguely remember, hey, that about the having room for what for what you supposed to be good at. So taking everything into yourself, right? There's not enough room, and then it's going to mask the true core values that it makes you complete, make you like, hey, this is a good life.
Yep. I totally agree. Actually, you're making me want to go rewrite my reflection for today because I really struggled today because I was like, it was one of those hot zone ones, where, the change or chance favors a prepared mind, where I was like, it didn't align, like what we're talking about. It didn't align. I was trying to make it align. My brain wasn't in the right spot, and
I think somebody just twisted that particular saying, aphorism. It's like, I think fortune, favors the prepared mind. I can agree with that, but chance, not really. I just don't see it. I think somebody took the word fortune out and put chance in there and say, hey, I coined a new phrase. Like,
right. Fair
enough. It
makes
sense.
Ironically, we're going to blow that whole entire idea up with this conversation today, with the last reflection of the Black Swan, which I'll go ahead and I'll make that my segue into going into the reflection, because you're right. Like, that saying doesn't make any sense. And the more that we go back to it, like, it doesn't make any sense at all. Anyway, but point taken, like, don't force things, right? Like, you can also learn what you don't like and you do like. Well, Black Swan, clearly I do like it. So I can't wait to go back and reread it. It's the point. So this particular episode is about Mediocristan versus Extremistan. And this was a big eye-opening concept Nassim Taleb, talked about. This is kind of the fundamental thesis of the Black Swan theory, really, where we think that we live in a place called Mediocristan, meaning it's predictable, it's mathematical, it's something that we can control and we can exert influence on, and that everything can kind of stay in this mean and the averages if we try to manipulate things to keep it in that happy median zone that we feel like we can control. That's mediocrity. That's what we think that we live in. Every single day you go to work and you're worried about certain KPIs and metrics and whatever else, or every day that our government is tweaking our interest rates and whatever, every day that our local government is, I don't know, what do they do? They think they can control, and the economic thing, whatever. You get the point. Raise taxes or inflation, whatever it may be. People think that they can go out there and that we can, as a human, manipulate nature and even man-made concepts to try to keep it this predictable Mediocristan. And it's very easy to fall into that trap. I mean, we're told this stuff we're fed this story from the day that we're born, of you do the predictable thing. You go to school, you get an education, even if you don't like what you learn, you keep learning it, then you go get your degree, then you get married, you have a kid, you get a job, you pay for your debt, you can be a Mexican fisherman someday, like you always say, and you can go retire on a beach somewhere and go fish all day long or whatever it is, right? That's the story. That's Mediocristan in a nutshell, right? That's what we're told from day one. Be safe, be predictable, live in mediocrity. That's where the happiness really lies, right? Unfortunately, as the Black Swan so eloquently points out, we don't live in Mediocristan. We live in Extremistan, meaning those outliers events are the ones that shape our everything that we do. Everything that we do is shaped by those outlier events. All that work that we put into in between those outlier events is for nothing. It's stupid. It's meaningless to think about our goals and our objectives and our KPIs and like, we're going to go march up that mountain. And then all of a sudden, like, the mountain gets blown up and there is no mountain. And you're like, well, what the fuck? Like, what do I do? Like, I just worked so hard to get up this mountain and then that mountain's gone, and because that's the world that we actually live in. It's actually Extremistan, event where I learned the hard way, we don't live in Mediocristan. We live in Extremistan. Like, I used to plan 5-10 years ahead, and I used to plan, I used to do a ton of goal setting all the time. I loved making goals, and I loved thinking that I had some predictability of marching towards stuff, and I could say, yeah, this is my 5-year plan. This is my 10-year plan. And I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? 5-year plan. I'm not going to put a vision board out there and say, this is where I'm going to be in 5 years. Because like, the truth is, I have no idea. The next Extremistan event may be just around the corner, or it may be 2 decades away, but it's irrelevant. It'll happen. It might be 50 years away for me. It might be, I don't know, but it will happen. And if it hasn't happened to you already in your life, like, it will. It's just a matter of time. We experienced it as a collective on a few key events recently. Like, COVID was an extremist event, right? Like, I mean, it redefined work. It redefined where people live. It redefined values of properties all over. It redistributed values of properties all over the world because people were like, well, I don't want to live in this 300 square foot apartment in New York City. I'm going to go move somewhere else where it's cheaper and more affordable and I can work wherever I want to work. I was just downtown in Indianapolis, 7 minutes away from my house. My wife and I were walking around the other day with Luca on President's Day, which is on Monday, and we were just enjoying the weather outside. And like, half of the damn buildings are abandoned now. Like, I mean, there's no office space. I mean, we went through our downtown mall called the Circle Center Mall. It used to be, when I was a kid, that was the best place ever to be. And now, like, it's dead. I mean, we walked through the mall because we didn't have anything else to do. Half of the shops were completely empty. Like, they were just boarded up shops on the inside. And then everything else in that place was like, what do you even do here anymore? There's nobody comes here. This is just a wasted space, Anyway, I digress. My point is, these events shape our lives and they define what we do every single day. So for me personally, I don't want this to all be doom and gloom, because there's a silver lining to all this, right? The reason why this is important for me to understand is because it's the fucking truth. It is reality, right? This is how the world works. So to say that don't make plans, it's totally healthy to make goals and think about the future and everything like that. That is 100% like, our imagination is our superpower. We've talked about this, right? So don't stop doing that. Making sure that you understand that you can't control whether or not that happens, right? Keep working toward goals that matter, but focus on the here and now and the present of doing the shit that you want to do every single day. And then I promise you, in the future, they will accumulate into outcomes down the road where you will look back and you'll say, man, I'm really proud of all these outcomes that I've generated, not on purpose, but it just happens. But knowing that, like, I did what I wanted to do every single day of my life, because that's all that you can do. Like, that is all that you can do. Knowing that this is the world that we actually live in, like, mediocrity and sacrificing for the future and sacrificing, and trying to keep things consistent and predictable. Just do what you want to do always, and know that we live in extremistan, but also at the same time understand how that relates down the road, and you'll still live a happy, fulfilled life, in my personal opinion. So I'll pause there. I'd love to get your thoughts.
So can you distill it into your takeaway from this? What's the purpose of Mediocristan? I mean, when you saying that, it doesn't apply to us.
So the purpose of Mediocristan is,
I mean, what's the takeaway that you want to leave the viewers with?
There's 2 points, and the first one is understand that this is reality. Right? Like, this is
so when you say this is reality, okay.
Yeah, like, that is where we live. Understand that is where we live.
We don't live in Mediocristan. We thought, or we believe we do, but we don't.
Correct. Yes. Okay. We do not live in Mediocristan. And then step 2 is prepare by doing the only thing that you can do, which is live your life in the here and now, the way that you want to live your life in the here and now. That's it. That's the lesson of this. For me personally, that's what I took away. We can't discount the fact that we don't have control over this world, over this life, over all the things that are going to happen to us. I don't know that you can debate that one, but I guess I'm open to it because I don't know anything necessarily. Maybe in the future, somebody figures out how to control Mother Nature and can manipulate everything to do whatever they want to. I doubt it, but who knows? Number 2 is knowing that that is the case. How do you make sure that you can live your life the way that you want to live your life in the here and now, which is, for me, like, just focus on your values. Stop making goals. Stop setting stuff for the future. Just do what you want to do every single day, and it'll be okay.
Right. Okay. And I think this is I think it's a fundamental concept, and it's a hard one to understand as well. That's why it's, it needs clarification. I think, you are completely right. I completely agree with what you said, because I don't believe we live in Mediocristan. The reason for that is because we have talked about kind environment and wicked environment, right?
Right.
Kind is very clear. It's structure. It's rules. Yes. Like right. Chess. In a chess game, it's kind. In the game of life, it's not, because anything can happen, right? And when you look into the kind environment or the Mediocristan, the same, I guess, the same terms.
Yeah.
It's the same
thing.
There's rules. Right. So you look at it, hey, if I do X, Y, Z, I will get, A, B, C. If I continue to earn $10 a day, after 10 days, would have, $100. You are using the kind environment as a ruler to measure the wicked environment. You are using the wrong measuring device to measure. You measure, because you look at, for example, in life, right? You say, if I make $5 a day, in 10 days, I make $50. But do you know that maybe in the 5th day, I broke my leg? So how do people die, right? People say, oh, I've been healthy, and then over time I become less healthy, and over time I become sick, and I get sicker, and I die. Most people they're healthy, suddenly they get sick, and then they die. Right? It's not the gradual rule base that you look at. We look at the wicked environment as the extremistan, which is essentially the environment that we live in, and we cannot take the visions of a kind environment and use it as a measuring device. You say, hey, if I make $10 a day, then I should make $100,000, by this. That to me is a fool's errand, because it doesn't happen that way. So take into what you just say, when you plan something, it can only go so far. You plan for the whole year, right? Mm-hmm. Probably go for the next 2 weeks, a month, and then it starts to diverge to complete different things. You get into new information shows up, right? New relationship, old relationship get broken. Things change completely and very fluid. So in a way, we live in that environment. We live in a wicked environment, aka extremistan. So I think having the context of the wicked and kind of environment helps me understand the concept a little bit better, to kind of explain it a little bit more in terms of, hey, we are not in the environment we think we're in. Because for whatever reason, we think everything has to have some kind of reason or pattern, and we try to make patterns out of randomness.
Everything. Why do we do that? Like, I mean, it is ingrained into us to like try to find a pattern of why this happened. Like, if a business has success, it's like, oh, well, here's why, and we'll go invent a narrative as to how that happened. And you're like, no.
And so you fit the narrative into how or what you want to see.
Right.
So this is what we're saying is, when you have a purpose, right? You are writing a reflection as a tool to keep, not to say, hey, I read a book. To me, this is essentially what we're talking about, is we are trying to force ourselves and mold ourselves into this narrative of, hey, one book, one reflection, one lesson, one tool. And so for whatever reason, we want to have this consistency, this pattern of kind environment when we completely do not live in that environment. We're completely in an environment that we refuse to accept as, it's random, it's fluid, it's dynamic, and we trying to say, well, it has to have a pattern, and we see what we want to see, so we ignore whatever else is there. And so we say, hey, well, I see this graph, right? Basically, anything that doesn't belongs inside of the window, I expect, oh, these are noise, these are outliers, and you completely like remove them. And so to me, that's what we do. I don't know, with everything, whether that's in what we do every day in businesses or in science and engineering. We have these outliers, and we start to discard these signals, right? And then the signal could be as valid, but you didn't think it was belong in a group. So we for whatever reason tries to, I guess, I don't know why, but we want to be in a kind of environment and to be in a brick environment, which is live, which is so hard and so confusing that we refuse to accept it. And that becomes,
we just refuse to believe that every single day that like we are the 1,001 day turkey. Like, I mean, like literally we refuse. Like, I mean,
we believe that we are 1,000-day turkey, but we live in 1,001 day turkey.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I mean, it does make sense to me, at least to me, what you're saying. But here's the rub of it all, right? Like, there is something reassuring about knowing, well, I can put in work today. This is what I was trying to get at toward the end of this, right? Knowing that we live in Extremistan, like that could go one of two ways, right? Like, if you acknowledge that we do live in that space, then you go, well, what's the point? Like, what's the point of any of this? Like, what's the point of waking up every single day? What's the point of doing anything, right? Like, and you're like, because it's not gonna work toward anything, and it like blows up the whole narrative of dopamine, right? And the future-driven dopamine actions of driving your imagination. All these things that we've talked about as our superpowers, right? Like, our superpower of imagination as a collective of humanity probably wouldn't exist if we all woke up every single day and said, oh, I live in Extremistan. Like, I'm just imagining my world getting destroyed every single day. Like, I mean,
well, it doesn't have to get destroyed. I think if you become objective in what you see, right, then you have a better chance, have a better odds of navigating it. Because with, for example, if I say, well, if I save $1 a day, right, how many days should I save to the point where I can retire at an age, whatever? If I do that, right, I would never, ever going to be able to save it, because things going to happen. If I save enough money, let's say I save $1,000 a day, I don't know, 5 years from now, I broke my leg, or I need to use it. So using the measuring tool to measure our life is going to kick us in the butt, because you will never have enough money. Regardless, say I will have a number of days to live, right? Let's say 60, whatever, how many days, and I'll divide that and I'll save, right? The thing is, 2 months, 3 months, things are gonna happen. People are gonna show up. You're gonna get this, you're gonna that, and those things gonna explode you out the water. And it doesn't give you the planning 1,000-day turkey that you say, hey, everything is gonna be like the last day, and it looks as a linear extrapolations of how the increases go. The problem is that you're using that as a measuring tool to say, hey, this is how I'm going to configure my life so that if I save this amount of money, $1,000 a day or whatever it is to get to this point, right? I will have this much money by this point and I will live off of it by this point. The thing is, somebody can sue you, right? And it took it all away. So, did you account for that? Did you account for the atomic bomb of, hey, maybe, a fucking airplane just dropped on in your backyard and blow your house up and you didn't have insurance or insurance didn't cover enough? I mean,
yeah,
thousands, millions of things could happen. And so having that measuring tape doesn't work. But what I'm saying is, if I were to know that I live in this kind of society, how do I navigate? Do I put everything in the bottom basket? Do I stack my odds? Do I stack my favors? So that I'm not going to save everything. I'm going to learn how to make money. I'm going to learn how to be, in a way, like marketable, meaning the skills I have is going to be useful whether I have a job, and I can constantly replenish that as I go. Right. Versus having to have this amount of money and then I would just don't need to, brush up on my skills and whatnot, and then completely relying on the plan to get you out of trouble. But to rely on your versatility is better because it's versatile. It changes because that skill set or what that concept, it's also wicked, meaning it can adapt to any environment, any changes that happen. So let's say I have something that's marketable, like your skill set, like, hey, to be able to persuade people, right? If you don't sell the pencil today, you can sell a watch tomorrow. It's transferable. And so having dynamic skills in a dynamic world resonate with each other. So having the ability to understand objectively where you live, able to give you the ability to pick out the things that will align with whatever environment you're in so that you don't get caught by surprise, and you will, because it's not about whether or not the black swan happens. It will happen. That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. I mean, it happens in the universal sense, right? In universal sense, like, hey, it's going to get, to this extreme, but then that's only if you take it from the whole perspective of the universe. And I mean, hey, it didn't apply. It didn't happen to me. Therefore, the numbers are red. But on a specific timeline, whatever you do eventually will happen. You're going to get sick. You're going to get to an accident. You're going to have some kind of hardship.
Something's going to happen.
It's going to wipe you out, right? And so the point is, can you get back on your feet again? Do you have the ability?
If you survive, I mean, like, and that, you never know what's going to happen to you, but like, assuming that you move past, I think you said it best just a little bit ago when you said you're measuring the wrong shit. Like, you are measuring the wrong stuff.
You're using a wrong measuring tool, right? Exactly. To measure, right?
You could be 1,001-day turkey, but those first 1,000 days could be the best days each individually ever. You know what I mean? Like, you could have an accumulation of, if you measure each day as what is your best day? This goes back to Tuesdays with Maury early on in our journey. The perfect day is ordinary, right? That you love to do every single day. It doesn't need to be some magical, you may actually end up at the top of Mount Everest, but if you enjoyed every single day the hike up Mount Everest and you had a great day, and if it ended that day, you'd be like, well, it ended that day. That's fine. But every single day could be
a great day on a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Thursday, and you live a great day, an ordinary day for like 50, 60 years, right? You add up all those positive emotions you have over the 60 years versus one time of, hey, I'm exhilarating on the top of the fucking mountain. Yet you sacrifice all of your years to get one spurt of elation, and that's it.
You should start calling that the 999-day turkey, because it's like the first 998 days sucked, but you got one freaking day of good, and then you died the next day. That tennis tournament I won back in the summer of 2020 after Amelia had passed away, and I think I told you that as I was leaving the tennis center that I was playing at, people were shaking my hand or whatever, saying great matches over the past couple of days, getting my little trophy, and I got in the car and I was like, I literally went, what was the point? Like, who cares? Like, nobody cares, like, at all. I loved what I did that day, but I was like, should I tell my wife? Should I text my friends? Should I tell my mom, like, I just won a tournament? I'm like, no one fucking cares.
No one cares.
And that's okay. I did it for me. I was there having fun for me. I had a blast.
If you understand, right, the reality and be objective, you enjoy the tennis match because you understand that's your purpose. Versus, hell, I'm going to sweat, I'm going to bust my ass for what the ceremony
for that
of
5 minutes, for that.
You think all the Olympic athletes, right? Whenever they're on the podium to receive the gold medal, it's
like 5 minutes after they get their medal, I bet half of them are like, what do I do now? Because not everybody can be a 4-time Olympian or something like that, like Michael Phelps.
But that's the thing. If running, if swimming, if whatever that you do is what you enjoy, don't sacrifice and force yourself to become that person, that athlete to receive the medal, because you're gonna be disappointed. And this is where you're forcing yourself. You are using the wrong measuring stick to measure your life, and you're going to be disappointed, and you're gonna get lost.
In mediocrity, you plan and you take incremental steps and you measure it along the way. And you think that you're going towards some goal. That's what you do in Mediocristan. And there's some value to that, but once that's over, it's over. It's not once you realize that illusion is gone, it's that's more devastating than anything. That is the 999-day turkey, where you're like, it hurts almost more, if I had to guess. I've never been an Olympian that won a medal, but I would guess it probably hurts almost as much the day after winning a medal as it did the day that you won the medal. This sucks. I mean, it reminds me of Andre Agassi, walking around Paris after he won the French Open. He was like, this is it. I'm number one in the world. I just won my first major. And he's like, this is it. I mean, this is what I put all that work in for, and did the shit that I hated every single day so I could tell everybody that I was number one in the world and I won a major. That's more depressing than you could ever possibly imagine, I'm sure, if you did it for the wrong reasons. This is why it's so important to understand you can still achieve great things in this life, but do it understanding that we live in Extremistan, and do it every day for the right reasons. But don't expect any outcome to ever happen. Don't ever expect that there's going to be,
because you are measuring something completely different using a measuring tool that you basically took from some other world to kind of measure it. And the thing is, the odds of you getting it correct are so slim, because
it's almost impossible.
Exactly, it's impossible. And the odds of you doing it wrong is going to be very, very high. And that's the point, is because to me, the way I see this is how I see it, most of what we have in our world, it is very wicked environment. They're very, very fluid. They're very dynamic. This is what I mean when we say wicked. Somebody coined the term kind environment, wicked, what range, right? But I'm saying is there is only a few things that is kind, which is like chess or something that is completely, but everything else, anything that's dynamic, right, is going to be wicked. So to me, there's 99% wicked to 1% kind. And so you have to understand what you're dealing with. And so you have to be objective and say, okay, this is a wicked environment. So you have to use a measuring tool for that environment versus using the other ones. Because you look at people who, let's say, we're talking about the wicked, inside of a wealth, in the wealth split, right? 1% of the people own 99, they own 99% of all the wealth, right?
Why did James Clear sell 10 million copies of Atomic Habits in the first 2 years? 10 million copies. I mean, that's insane success for a book. What was different about that book versus the other 300 plus books that we've read? Some of them are subjectively better, per my purview of it. But and don't get me wrong, his book was good. But was it that much better than every book that I've ever no, not even close. I mean, it's not even, it makes no sense why that even exists, why that many people have received that message from James Clear. And I hope to God that James Clear doesn't think that he somehow knows more than other people still, because he's like, oh, well,
I still haven't read that book. I mean, I have it downloaded. I bought it, I downloaded it, and I started it, but I haven't read that book. But I probably would read Black Swan on the third time before I read that James Clear, to kind of put it out there.
Book.
I like the Black Swan more, but that, to your point, is that how James Clear sell 10 million copies in the first 2 years is beyond me. right? And so you
It's
cannot plan
the
for
fat
it.
head and the long tail.
You can say, well, if I do it this way, I'll position that way, I'm gonna get this result. It doesn't work that way. The thing is, a man cannot step in the same river twice, right? For one, the man is not the same man. Second is the river is not the same river. Whatever you learn from anyone, right? It's not going to work because it's not the same environment. It's
even yourself. Like, I mean, all these CEOs that think they can just step right back in and go, well, I've done this before, I'll do it again, like, and you're like, no, you got lucky when you exited with your first time for $1 billion exit or whatever. Like, the chances that you ever do that again and again and again, if I was an investor, I would never invest into somebody that's already done it once, because I'd be like, the chances of you having success again, like you already had, is probably damn near slim and not just as good as anybody that's never done it before. Like, you're so spot on with what you're talking about, and all these things all come back together to me in one really, really important lesson, which is what we've been talking about, is you can't control anything else, but what can you control? You can control what you do every single day and why you do it. That's it. If you do that and that's all that you focus on, I promise you, you're going to have, out of the 1,000 days you have, if you're the turkey, like, you're going to have 1,000 great days. And that's what really matters, right?
1,000 great days in one day of, sadness, or you can have like 1,000 days of sadness, one day of greatness, right? I mean, that's what you are training for. If you are looking at Mediocristan, right? That's what you are doing. You're eating the frogs in one day that you eat the cake.
For
I'm
one
gonna eat
day,
the cake for
yeah.
1,000 days, and then I eat the frog the last day.
Right.
And so I mean, you look from that perspective. Which one do you want?
It's a no-brainer. I mean, it's not even a question, right? Like, I'm not going to sacrifice, everything in my life so I can have one day, maybe not even one day, like 5 minutes. I mean, how long is a 100-meter swim for Michael Phelps? Or, like, what is it, like 50 seconds? For 50 seconds, like, you don't even get a day. You get like 50 seconds to have that feeling. And then it's gone. Every day, you and I were just talking about this before. Where do we find the energy to do this stuff at the end of the day? Well, we like to do it. And we get every single day, we get to have fun doing stuff that we like to do. Every single morning, I get to write in the morning, or go take a run with Amelia, or go play tennis, or coach my team, or help them to discover new things themselves, or learn something new myself. Like, every day I get an opportunity to do that stuff, and I love it. Like, today, it's been a while since I've taken a cold shower because it's actually starting to warm up, because I've been running outside and it's been cold. It's actually starting to warm up a little bit, and today it was pretty warm. I got done with my exercise and I came back in and I was like, oh shit, I haven't taken an actual cold shower in a while, like a really long time. And I literally was, because that was my rule. It's like, as long as it's cold outside, I call that a cold shower, because it is cold. I got back in today and I was like, damn it, I don't want to do this. I sat there staring at the shower, like the little knob that I would turn to the cold, and I was like, I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not joking. This happened this morning. For like 4 minutes, I stood there and I was like, oh, I'm not going to do it. No, Chris, do it. I'm not going to do it. No, Chris, just do it. Just get it over. I'm not joking. I argued with myself in there for like 5 minutes. And then finally I just turned it over and I was like it was awful. I mean, I hadn't done it forever. I was like panting. I felt like I was going to pass out for a hot minute. And I ended up 2 minutes later being done with it. I got out of the shower and I was like, oh man, that felt really good. And I was like, all right, okay, I can do this again tomorrow.
Oh, it's still eating the frog for me. If you had to do that, it's eating the frog. Because to me, when you're doing something that really aligns with who you are,
right? It's effortless.
It's effortless, because thing is, like I say, Snow loves to teach, but he hates his job because it's how he did it. It's how, like, so the thing is, you may love cold shower, but it's how you did it. It's like eating a frog and a cake.
No, a frog cake. It's a frog cake.
But the thing is, you have to understand. I mean, if you look at what we telling, what we're saying today, right? You're supposed to be eating the cake and eating that frog. You're supposed to enjoy your 1,000 day, and then maybe that one day something happens to you. That's fine, but you enjoy the bulk of your life, right? To do the things that matters to you, right? But you look at what society tells you. Society tells you the opposite. Society tells you to eat the frog, right? And not eat the cake, because get the challenging things out of the way. But the challenging is, it doesn't matter to you, right?
It doesn't at all. Like, I mean, if I never took a cold shower again for the rest of my life, no one would be disappointed in you. You know what I mean? Like, nobody gives a shit. Like, I do it because challenging myself is one of my core values, and it's fun. It was fun for me to push myself to go do that. That's why I say, like, I didn't want to do it, but it was fun. And for me to do it, because that little extra challenge for myself was enjoyable for me. No one else knows it. There's no award for it.
Because the thing is, should be the prize and the cake in itself. If that isn't, then please look for other activity that align, because there are thousands and probably millions of activities that it is more aligned with your values. You can't say, well, I would walk to the garden. Oh, that flower, I don't really like it, but I don't mind. I'll pluck. Thing is, you have a full bag of all the shit that you say, hey, it's good enough, but it's not really what I want. Or you have these 1 or 2 or even 5 things or even 10 things that you really, really, really love. You really appreciate. And so the thing is, when you hoard all these things, whatever is the most precious to you gets kind of masked by the other things that, hey, it's not too bad. Let's pick it, right? So you pick everything in the flower in the garden, every single thing, right? Versus, hey, pick the best one out and enjoy that one. You focus on it. You have the utmost time with it versus, hey, I hoard everything. So that's what I'm saying is, whenever something isn't effortless for you, either you look in the wrong way or it isn't exactly the perfect thing for you. It could be close, but it's not perfect, right? And if that's the case, then it probably isn't. It may be overlapping. Like, for example, hey, this machine needs a quarter. Oh, can I put a nickel in there? Well, if you know what I mean, you put a nickel in there, it will go into the slot. But is it perfectly made and designed for a nickel? No, it isn't. It's designed for a quarter.
Right.
So whatever machine that needs a quarter, you gotta put in a quarter. And so when you pull out your little corn pouch, look to the pennies, to the dimes, to the nickels, to get the quarter. Find the quarter, right? Versus, hey, well, this one might work. I'll use it. Well, it doesn't work like that. So think about it in that way. So the takeaway for me is you have to understand objectively what you are looking at, what you're measuring, and then measuring it with the right tool, and figure out what is the best tool for that particular environment. You cannot use another tool to measure that, because you're going to be disappointed. At the same time, what we see is, as far as life in general, the life journey says that for the most part, it's going to be so dynamic. There's no way for you and I to predict anything that's going to come. So you're going to have to say, if I have today, how can I enjoy it the utmost that I can? Because you say, well, if I'm going to eat the frog today and hope that tomorrow or next year I will eat the cake, that next year may never come. You might die tomorrow. You may die tonight. So it's going to be probable. It's a probable that you're going to have that. So if you continue to operate,
delayed fulfillment is what it is. Delayed fulfillment never comes. It does come, but it might only come for 5 fleeting seconds, or maybe you get lucky and it's a full day of fulfillment, a lifetime of fulfillment.
In 9-to-1, this is the same ratio we're talking about. It's 9-to-1. You sacrifice 99% of your time for 1% of reward. You eat 99% of your frog for 1 piece of cake. Or the reverse. You can always reverse it, right? Say, hey, I'm going to have 99% of all my fulfillment, and then whatever happens to me, well, if I'm in control, then it's okay. Bottom line is, how can you maximize the opportunity that you have? Because
I wouldn't even call it. I think maximizing is the wrong word. Like, it's how do you ensure a fulfilling life,
maximizing fulfillment.
Right. Well, fine, but I guess I don't know what the top end of fulfillment is. You know what I mean? Is it like being fulfilled from the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed, or what about when you're sleeping? I guess I think
fulfillment. I think fulfillment and purpose and all these, it's going to be individually different, dynamic, because every person has different measurements. So I'm saying is, I can't tell you that this is core value that you should take. This is core value that I value. You can value differently. That's up to you, right? And fulfillment, whatever that you think is fulfillment, right? Whatever that you think is, makes you feel, positive, you do that.
Right.
Because
I
and you say,
agree.
well, to maximize fulfillment, it's not really to say, hey, maximizing in this way, maximize in your way, whatever way that's what I'm saying is we live in a
know what you're saying.
in a
I'm
wicked
saying like
environment. It's so dynamic. So
yeah.
when we have something dynamic, like you were saying, core values is an abstract. It's not a concrete thing. So it changes. The core value changes. If you give to another different person, it changes, right?
A core value is how you get through Extremistan. Like you need something abstract that can evolve as the circumstances evolve, right? Like I mean, you have to, because like
if something
this
is
life
fluid,
is evolving.
you
need
have
fluid.
to be. You need something fluid as well to be inside that environment. If not, then the thing is you can adjust.
Right.
So that means that when we live in a fluid environment, in a dynamic environment, we need to have things that are also dynamic and fluid. Because if you don't, then whatever you take as is concrete, then it doesn't do anything. It's just going to get submerged in it.
Right. It will be taken away from you. If you want something concrete in this physical world, you may get lucky and have it for 50 years. You may have it for 30 years. You may only have it for 1 year. You may have it for 20 days. You may have it for 30 seconds. The point is, if you anchor your fulfillment on something concrete, it will be taken from you.
It's not concrete if you in reality in the fluid world, it's not concrete because it dissolves.
Right.
It dissolves because whatever it is, hey, I have this goal of winning and gold medal to have
each day is gone.
Euphoria. And then the moment you got it, you got it. You get elated for like maybe 5 minutes, an hour, a day, and then after that, it's gone. It completely dissolves. It disappears. Exactly. It doesn't stay. And that's the thing, is you are inside of that environment. You cannot control that environment. Concept, the same abstract fluid, whatever the fluid, you can combat it with the same property. If the properties are fluid, you live in a fluid environment, then you have to have the property that are also fluid. You can change with it. If you don't, then you basically completely immovable, and they are movable, and they can flow around you.
Agreed. Be water, right? All right, I gotta
jump water, my friend.
I gotta go run for a train.
All right.
All right. Good talking to you at midday. That was fun, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Sounds good. See you.